kickstart the show with what the global handover looked like. And Vinny, some stellar recovery being seen across the US market. They were green too.
Absolutely, they are green too. So yes, we have that green coming in because Dow Jones, S&P 500, Nasdaq, all of them managed to close with very strong gains that we're seeing. Dow Jones up almost 1%, that it closed higher. S&P 500 more than 1.5%. While in terms of the Nasdaq, that closed with gains of more than 2%. So stellar up move that we've seen on the global data front, or the US market front. And now obviously this is near a 2-week high that we're seeing for the Wall Street, where mainly the reason was the producer price data that came in that reinforced bets that there will be an interest rate cut. It was not as bad as one was expecting. It was better than what the street estimated, and that is why we're keeping an eye out on the US markets. The PPI number was indicating that it is, in terms of inflation, restricting the inflation from going higher up. Surely the Fed has managed to get that to the level that they were looking at. US price, a producer price, increased less than expected in this month of July. The cost services fell by almost in 1.5 years. So that's a very interesting data point that's coming from the US point of view. As of now, let's look at what's happening in terms of the stock futures as well. Slightly unchanged is what the stock futures have remained at. So we'll be keeping an eye out on that. Now, obviously, Dow, that rose more than 400 points, almost 1%. It was an interesting move that came in for Dow Jones. A lot of Nasdaq companies surely is something that we are watching out for. Whether you look at something like an Alphabet, that was a bit under pressure only because of we were seeing some news flows that came in over there in terms of the antitrust case. So that is why there was pressure on Alphabet. But after that, other companies in the Nasdaq have managed to see a very good gain. So yes, keeping an eye out on the US markets. European markets, where did they close as well? They do close before the US markets do. European markets, not a bad handover coming in there. They too ended up higher. DAX was up 0.5%. FTSE was up almost 0.3% in trade. So yes, keeping an eye on that. All in all, a good handover coming in from the global markets. And Snehi, yes, keeping an eye on the Nifty implied open. 0.3% of uptick already that we're seeing this morning.
Absolutely, looking rather good for us this morning. Let's take a look at what oil, crude, and gold are also up to. And oil yesterday inched 2% lower, but managed to stage a decent recovery because you have WTI that is trading at 0.7% again at 78.8, so still slightly under that $80 per barrel mark. Remember, yesterday at this time it got really close to touching 80, but well, it has receded slightly from that mark. Brent crude also at 81.14, so above that $81 per mark, $80 per mark as of now. And Brent also trading with an uptick of 0.6%. Let's understand what first led to this fall and then what led to the recovery as well. Remember, over the last 2 trading sessions, we've heard news coming in from the slowdown in demand that agencies are spotting in China. They believe that China's post-pandemic rebound has run its course, and this is according to the IEA. Now, global demand in the second quarter increased at its slowest pace, which was 710 barrels per day since the end of 2022, and this is according to the IEA as well. Remember, we also had an OPEC cut coming in on Monday. They've lowered their demand forecast by 135,000 barrels per day this year, citing this softness that is visible in China. Now, the IEA also forecasting a crude oil surplus in 2025, even if the OPEC keeps production cuts in place, and this is due to the surplus output in Brazil, Canada, Guyana, as well as the US. So, lots of factors into play here as well, but we still haven't spoken about the geopolitical factor, because that keeps looming. You have tensions between Iran and other countries around it still looming at large. So that overhang from oil is still not completely gone. Now, US crude rallied more than 4% in the previous session as Israel braced for an expected attack from Iran, and the Pentagon accelerated the deployment of a carrier strike group to defend its ally. So lots happening on that front as well. You have agencies coming into play, data coming into play, demand supply factors coming into play, and then you also have geopolitics that comes into play when it comes to oil. So largely, this is what is going on with the crude oil prices, which is why we're seeing some volatility on an intraday basis too when it comes to oil prices. But with that, let's also take a look at what gold is up to. and gold 0.1% higher, and this is firming as the dollar and the yield slip after the US PPI data that was out. Gold as of now at $2,511 per ounce, above that 2,500 mark for now. Let's see if this can sustain going ahead as well. Silver also doing pretty well, almost a 1% uptick coming in. Copper to 0.5% rise coming in on that front as well. So metals as of now looking good, and we did speak about bonds, so let's take a look what's happening there. Treasury yields have slid down as producer prices increased less than expected. So positive momentum being seen on the street. So flip side, bonds are slightly lower. 3.852 is where the US 10-year is at as of now. And lastly, quickly marking cryptocurrency, Bitcoin up 3% and Ether also up 2%. Bitcoin at 67.35, so above 60,000 for now. But let's see if it can hold those levels, Vinny.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.